Oh good, I think I'm recording this time. Hey there! Okay, so, good evening Entropians, Julian McBain here, and tonight we are going to be doing some low to mid-level hunting in this area here. Actually, it's going to be lower down here. I had planned on doing some level 11 to 15s up in this area, but their patterns are kind of hard to track, so I'm going to go after the ones I hunted earlier. Oh, there's the academy. One, because they're slightly easier to hunt and I've been drinking, and two, and more importantly, oh look at this, level 4s. Let's overfly the level 4s and get to the higher area. So here's the deal. It is currently 2112 on October 27th. So 2112, 27 October. These guys are all level 4s. And about 6 hours, well, 4 hours ago, getting up into 5, I had attempted to make this video. And only after I've been providing about a half hour of content, I think. It might have been 40 minutes. I go to end the video and I give my outro, and I turn and find out that, hey, I was never recording. Fucking really. So here I am re-recording it. This video, by the way, is sponsored. Actually, all my videos are sponsored by Critical Links. And I felt it's very important to let you know about her. Critical Links is the small business owned by my fiance. And if it weren't for all of the hard work she does, working a full-time job, doing her shop on the side, well, that sucked. The loot, not her shop. Her shop's amazing. And going to school full-time, I would not be able to take the time I do to produce these videos. So please, I'm going to drop the link to her shop in the description of this video. Please, just take a moment and take a look at the shop. Take a look at what she does. And she does custom work. So if you want something that is themed to the planet you're on, or your society, she will do it if you give her the color scheme. And she is amazing. And I'm not saying that because I'm going to marry her. I'm going to marry her because she's amazing. So, a huge shout out to her for all of the work she does. So into the content that I had produced for this video, and since this is the second time I'm doing it, I apologize if I miss anything. Earlier today, and part of yesterday, actually, I think it was no, it was this morning. Can't remember if it was last night or this morning. This is what happens when, you drink. I went just kind of scouting around, looking for a place where I could find something more my level. Speaking of which, we need to pop a dog, or summon a dog, and pop a pill. Because I have done this pay period's depot. There we go. I am convinced that if for no other reason, if you're going to depot, buy the universal ammo, buy the expansion, not the expansion, the refills to the starter kits, not the loot pill packs. Because yeah, you can convert the loot pill packs to more ammo. Yes, you get all the extra HTNA, but you know what? These boosters are where it's at. The number of skills you get in exchange for taking the pills, frankly, honestly, if they were a real life thing, they'd probably be labeled as an illegal substance. I'm not even joking. The only thing I've taken them for crafting, I've taken them for hunting. I haven't tried them for mining yet. I need to try them for mining and see just what the difference is. And in fact, I think it would be very interesting if we took a look at skill gain differences when mining both with and without the pill. So I think that's something I'm going to schedule in the near future, where we do a mining run with the pills on and with taking one of the skill up pills and one without taking a skill up pill, and see where it lands us. I think it would be very interesting to find out what the differences are. So basically what we have going on tonight, that I've started this whole thing, is a 50 ped hunting run. Just a simple 50 ped hunt. Earlier today, I thought it was going to be a 100 ped hunt. And it turned out that I didn't have enough content. I didn't have enough to say for a 100 ped hunt, but I had plenty for a 50 ped hunt, so that's what we're going to do. And earlier I did come out with a profit. I think I went out with a 50 ped hunt, and I came back with 59 ped worth of loot. And I had a 5-ish ped, it was like 498 or something like that, repair bill. So, oh, that was pretty decent loot. So it was definitely a modestly successful run. And you know what? I'll take modestly successful. It doesn't have to be, you know, global after global. I don't care about globals. I care about long-term success. Because over time, you know what's going to happen? And I'm not going to get into the whole viability of deeds and stuff like that, but if I'm modestly successful at hunting, even if it's 5 ped a run, you know, I mean, shit, 5 ped for a 50 ped hunt, that's a 10% gain. Think about that. 5 ped, a 5 ped profit on a 50 ped hunt, that is a 10% gain. That is an amazing profit. And I got a half hour of entertainment, and I got all the skills to go with it. How am I losing? I'm not. And that's the point. So, if I were to even break even on all these hunts, I'm gaining the skills. If I wanted to, if I had the gumption, let's say that, and this never happens, but let's say that all of my hunting were to average a 0 profit loss. It was just 0 profit loss overall. You know, some globals offset some bad runs. I mean, that's life. But let's say we're to even out over the course of a year, and it's a 0 profit loss. I'm still gaining my skills. And I know there are people out there who do this. I'm still way too low level to even attempt this. But let's say I'm an Uber. You know, 400,000 skill points. At that level, 1 skill point is worth a lot of money. Let's say that I put a few skill points into a chip. I chip out some points. A 1 ped chip. And you lose, I think, 10% of the skill. So I spend... Technically, it would be a 1... You know, I put 1 ped worth of skill in and get a 90 ped chip. But just for the sake of argument, let's just say that I did a 110 ped chip and got or 110 ped chip out and got myself a 1 ped chip. I could easily sell that chip for 50 ped, depending on the skill. If it's evade, which is probably the most traded skill on the auction house, if I'm understanding the way the market here is working right now, evade is probably the most bought and sold skill in the market today. For a couple hours worth of work, I could make a significant profit at a higher level. Now, I'm not saying it's going to pay my bills. You'd have to own a land area for that, or several land areas for that. But it'll pay for all my hunts, or all my mining. And yes, that means that you're talking years of work. You're talking, you know, a lot of money put in for ammo, or for just for straight ped. You're talking about some judicious PED usage, or you're talking about a shitload of sweating. And I'm not above sweating. As you can see, I'm not above sweating. I am literally going out and sweating mobs to prove to myself I can get 10,000 sweat for this fucking passport I've got to get to do the quests here. The missions here. I'm going to call them quests. You know what? From here on, a mission is a quest because that's what it's called in every other game. So it's a quest. Sorry guys, that's just the way it is. But yes, you can build up, and then you buy deeds, which of course pay out. And understand, any money you put into deeds is just like gambling. This isn't a casino, but it sure as hell ain't an SCC regulated fucking investment house or whatever. Any money you put in here, assume that it's lost until you decide to withdraw it. That's just the way it is. Only play with what you can afford to lose. But if you do it right, maybe you can be at the point where you don't have to depot anymore. There are players out there that can do that, where they don't have to depot to play. I mean, no one has to depot to play, but you know what I mean. They can play at 50 PED a day and not have to pay in, not have to depot in. You know, they can be like the guys that frickin' go in and they're hunting level 60, level 70 mobs in a group, and they're burning through 2 PED a shot, and they're getting back 1.8, and they don't have to worry about it because they know tomorrow they're going to get a nice big payout. They can go and do it again. And if they don't really play at all, they might be able to take out 1 or 2 payouts a year of 1,000 PED, which is 100 USD. They're not living on it. But, you know, if I had deeds that were paying out 100 USD every 6 months, it's a nice date with my girl. Right? I will say this, I have been doing a lot of swenting lately, and I'm glad I am, because it's reminding me to stay humble. It is, because I love to hunt at my level. I mean, these guys are technically a little below my level, this isn't quite as eco as it should be, but that's okay, I'll let it go. One, because I'm still figuring out how all the mobs here work, and two, as we all know, just because it says it's a level doesn't mean that level is really the level that we are. But the other reason is there are skills that I should have in the event that I have a soft month. You know, what happens if I can't afford a depot for a while? What if I lose my job? What if my boss decides to close shop? And I'm not in a position to stay. So okay, what if he closes shop and I can't find another job right off? I mean, obviously I'm going to continue looking for work, and with the experiences I have, I can find something out of industry again. And I just happen to be lucky enough to have a backup where I can apply to a job and be okay after the appropriate interview period and shit like that, but not everyone has that luxury. And even for me, it means going back to 1 hour commutes back and forth, which I've done before and I'm willing to do again if I have to, but isn't exactly optimal. Being a non-depot for a while, knowing that I can be a non-depot, means that even if I were to suffer a hardship, I am still patient enough to keep playing. I'm not going to get frustrated being limited by the fact that maybe my wallet isn't as well tended to as it is right now. I mean, hell, we've got the holidays coming up. I am under no illusions that that is an expensive time. And I have 3 kids. So, instead of slowing down, maybe I'll just be more judicious when I'm not recording. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're a player who doesn't depot, I mean, I encourage at least 1 depot sometime when you start playing. You know, whether it's right off and you buy the starter kit, or it's later on and you buy 1 or 2 refills. I mean, think about it. Most people pay $60 to play a game of this quality off the top, and they pay fucking subscription fees. But if you can't afford that, that's okay. Don't not play. Do the work, do the sweating, get those skills. Because those skills are still valuable. You can do it. I mean, you have to have an immense amount of patience. But do the thing. You know, spend the time to get the evade skills, sweat the level 0 mobs, and jump in the river until they drown. And then come back and do it again until you can do it to level 3s like I can now. You know, get those evade skills. My recommendation, if you're going to Swunt, if you're in a low cash situation and you're going to Swunt, where you're sweating and hunting, as opposed to like running to a fucking turret or drowning them in a river, and I'm not looking down on the people who do that. That is the most eco way to sweat. You get in your jumpsuit and you go out and you sweat the mob and you jump into the river and you wait for them to drown, or you run up to the turret and you wait for it to shoot it. And you get 0 loot out of it, but you're getting the sweat. And you go again, because there's like no decay for it. I mean, yeah, your jumpsuit's going to take a little bit of decay, but I mean, fuck. This is my jumpsuit. There are many like it, but this one is mine. It's got a 10 pec total value. I have spent hours sweating. It's awesome. 1 pec of durability, 1 pec of decay, and hours of being smacked around in it. I have died probably a dozen times for that 1 pec loss, if not more. So just go out there in whatever outfit that you're wearing. Do the sweating thing until your evade is high enough to sweat bigger critters. And then go back and buy yourself a melee weapon. Seriously, no. Buy yourself a melee weapon. And here's why I say this. If you are a non-depot, melee is probably the most overall efficient way to play. And here is why. Yes, depot decays far faster than a gun does. And that's because you're not paying for ammo. Limited weapons, of course, don't decay as fast as limited weapons do. Excuse me. Unlimited weapons decay much faster than limited weapons do. But you don't have to go, you know, buying one every couple of days. Although, I guess these LR15s last quite some time. So I'm not dissing on the LR15. But the reason why is, as you're doing the melee skills, and in fact, I would strongly recommend as a starter sword, get the Laconian sword. It's a bit cheaper than the TT sword. I think you'll probably pay in the auction house what the TT sword is. It's faster, so your damage per second is actually slightly higher. And I'm not saying the TT sword is bad. The TT sword is actually pretty good. But the DPS on the Laconian sword is slightly higher than, say, the TT sword in particular, actually. Which, by the way, it looks identical to these swords. But when you're a melee player, right? That was almost 5 PED. Nice. When you're a melee... Oh, look at all that loot. Holy shit. We're doing pretty good. It's looking to be a good night. The two things that you win as a melee player over shooters, and I'm not dissing shooters. Shooters have a lot of advantages over us melee players, but for the purpose of this particular soapbox preaching, I try not to, but I'm sure that's what it sounds like. The major advantage we have over shooters are carry capacity and health. And those can be powerful things, especially when you're a non-depot. And here is why. I'm going to start with health, because it's the easiest and most obvious. When you're out sweating in no armor, going max eco, and you're swunting or just sweating, max eco, the more health you have, the less likely it is you have to heal. It sounds obvious, but it's true. The more health you have, the less likely it is you have to heal. I am a level 24 swordsman. I've been playing for just shy of a year. I'm about a month and a smidge off. I have 114 hit points, and in fact, I had 113 earlier today. I made 114 today. And yes, I'm able to hunt at a higher level because I do depot, but just listen to what I'm saying here. I'm at 114 hit points. I have a 346 kilogram carry capacity. I can mule all kinds of shit in EU across vast distances without losing my ability to run. I have a higher hit point count, which means I can take more damage before I have to worry about healing. Which means that for all the work I put in up front, all the money that I put in up front, whether it was through sweat sales, because I've done my share of non-depot work. I've been out at the fields of Berea sweating, and dying in my jumpsuit. I've been, I spent most of the last 2 weeks here on Arkadia digging up, well no, it's been about 7 days. Swunting here for what, 2,200 sweat? And true, I haven't always been able to play as much as I want to, but that's life. But for all of that, right? Jesus, can I hit the thing? Okay, we're good. I am able now to sweat level 3 mobs. They carry 20 sweat a pop. That means they have 20 hit points. I started at level 0, they're 10 and 10. And that is a long-ass process. Because of all these melee skills, I can sweat higher level mobs, which is more efficient. Now, part of my problem is I didn't sweat enough. I relied so much on depot that in order to, you know, my evade isn't as high as someone who has done nothing but sweat for a long time. It's higher than a rifleman in this game because I'm constantly toe-to-toe with my enemy. But I'm not just standing there taking damage to gain evade skills like some people do. There are some people who go up to like Hadesheim. There are some ridiculous critters up in on Calypso. And you've got Hadesheim, you've got the level 200s that I showed in another video, and they'll put on their jumpsuits or they'll run naked and they'll just run into them over and over because every time they die they gain like 2 evade points. People farm evade this way. Which, I have mad respect for these people, but it's just, I couldn't. I'd be like, fuck that shit. That is not fun. But they do it, because they want the skills. And And they won't do it for a huge amount of time, they'll do it for like an hour. But if you can die 60 times in an hour at 2 evade points per time, that's 120 points. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that's not bad. That's a huge improvement. And if you pop one of these frickin' skill pills, that's a huge improvement. That's enormous. I think I'm starting to get into the higher level stuff. I'm trying to figure out, I'm still learning where everything is here. Like, what's a level 8, level 11, okay, good. Because this is what I want. I'm really more suited to fighting 11 and 12s, maybe 13 to 14. I can take a 15 if it's a low. But once you get into the danger level 15, I really need to start looking at getting plates, I think. I mean, I know that I've seen on other streams, or I keep calling them streams with their channels. I've seen on other channels, and I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to use those two terms interchangeably. I've seen on other channels where they have ghosts with 5B plates, and they're taking on level 23s and level 24s, and I know I'm still a ways to go before I can do that, even with plates, although I've never had plates, so I can't know for sure. But, no, that wasn't a bad drop. 7s. You know what? We're going to take this 10. I think I'm going to call it there. We're down to about 5 PED worth of ammo. And I'd rather not take it too close. As you all know, I don't like to take it down to the wire. Because one too many times if I run into a situation where I go to spawn some... Well, more in WoW than anything, I go to escape and suddenly I'm under fucking attack. Because here, you can escape. You can spawn your vehicle no matter what. You can hop in, and you can get the fuck out. Of course, it would help if I knew how to pilot this fucker. There we go. I know, former pilot can't fly a fucking sleep here. I've flown both planes and choppers. Speaking of which, if you ever get the chance to fly a helicopter, flying a plane is awesome. It's even if you just take the first lesson, it's going to cost you like $150 to $200. It's an experience I highly recommend. For the cost of what? Going to the frickin' fair for a day. Oh, don't look at me like that. You all spend $200 at the fair. Especially if you've got a date or children. But if you spend the $200, go to a fixed base operation at your local airport to take your first flying lesson and see if you like it. It is worth it just for the experience of being behind the yoke and flying. But hopping into a fixed-wing airplane versus a rotorcraft like a helicopter, it's like night and day. Because at first, the helicopter is completely uncontrollable. I'm serious, you're a pendulum attached to a fan flying a brick that really shouldn't fly. Helicopters operate off the principle, and it's a well-known pilot's adage, if you attach a big enough engine to it, it'll fly. That is entirely how a helicopter flies. You put a big enough engine on it, and it flies. And the best part is unlike an airplane, and here's why I liked flying helicopters over flying airplanes. I'm going to say it. All of my fellow former DWC students, alumni, Daniel Webster College alumni. I know Daniel Webster doesn't exist anymore. For those of you who did fly fixed and do fly fixed, and don't get me wrong, I do love flying fixed, and it's been, 10, almost 11 years. 10 years. It's been almost 10 years since I've flown an aircraft of any kind. When you're in a helicopter, you're in a pendulum attached to a giant fan. But you can see everything. You can make that chopper do whatever you want. It works on thrust vectoring just like a spaceship does, so you can stand in place. You can spin. You can do pirouettes like a fucking ballerina. No, I'm serious. This is something they teach you have to do. I have flown around a fucking construction cone with my nose pointing toward it all the way around just because that was something that I was required to know how to do. Okay? And it's freaking amazing when you can do it. I can't do it now. Fuck, I don't even think I could hover properly now. But it is probably one of the most surreal experiences, just flying 5 feet off the ground. We're not even in the air. 5 feet off the ground doing freaking ballerina moves. So, okay. Let's do our count up. It was a 50 PED hunt. We've got 498 left, so let's call it 5 PED. We can subtract the 2 PEC after. There we go. 4742. Pull out my handy dandy calculator. Plus 4.98. We're looking at a 52.4 PED total haul. That's gross revenue. That wasn't what I was looking to do. Let's throw away the armor in there. Oh, fuck. Get the shoes too. 116. Grab the sword. I did start the sword at raw, but 463. So 4777, that's a 2.23 PED loss. That's actually not terrible because I know for a fact that the skills made up for it. So I'd say at worst this is break even, and in all likelihood this ended up being an overall minor profit. I am actually not, I'm not going to complain about that. I think we're doing pretty well here. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe down below. The irony is, like, in my last episode, I had a whole bunch to talk about, and I've got it written in front of me. The only thing I talked about was the mid-level mobs issue. So, yeah. No, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Again, please like, share, and subscribe, especially the subscribes. For the 23 of you who are with me now, I deeply appreciate you being here. For anyone here who would be interested in subscribing to me, I deeply appreciate the thought. Please have a wonderful evening. Good night, folks.